We are the Braxtons and you'll see we are not like an ordinary family. Tracys who want a Trina Tamer and the sea will teach you a thing or two. The Braxton family values.
Hey everybody, let's talk about the Braxton family values. Okay, so in this first episode, there wasn't a lot that was going on, but I'm just going to talk about the three major things that was happening in this episode. So the first thing is Tawanda's daughter. She's 9 years old and she's developing. And she's having some questions just about her femininity and her body changing and sex and all of these things. And so it's making Tawanda extremely nervous. So she feels like she can't sit down and have this conversation with her daughter because it makes her feel so uncomfortable. So she calls all the sisters over, under a ruse that they're just going to have, some auntie and niece time. But really, they're there to answer some of her questions. So the questions ranged from, what is a period to did it hurt the first time that you had sex? I mean, this is just across the board. She asked a lot of questions. And for the most part, they answered it pretty good. Now, I'm just going to tell you my opinion. When a child gets of age where they ask very specific questions about specific things, I think that you should give them very technical answers. Like the way that Trina was answering her questions was very technical. She gave her the technical terms for things, and I feel like that's the best way to answer the questions, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to give an answer like Tony gave her when it came to the question of what is a virgin. And so Tony gives her this dumb answer and she says, in the Bible, Mary was a virgin. But that don't answer her question, like, what is a virgin? Tell me what that means. Like, what is that? When someone who's uninformed asks you a question and you give them an uninformed answer, they still don't know. So I think it's better if you just tell them what it is, because what's going to happen is a 9-year-old asks another 9 or 10-year-old what something is, and they think they know what it is, and they tell them that, and that's what they believe. It could be incorrect information. One of her friends might say, "Oh, you can't get pregnant if you do it when you're standing up." How stupid would she look if somebody asked her what a virgin is and she's like, "Oh, I know what a virgin is, the Virgin Mary." Tell these kids what things really are. I'm not saying you should sit a 3-year-old down and start talking about penises and vaginas. No, that's not what I'm talking about. If a little kid asks where babies come from when they're like 3 and 4 years old, just tell them they come from, mama's belly. That's where they grow, and that's the end of that. But when a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old comes and asks you these questions, let them know. And I think it was hard for all the girls because I don't think any of them have girls, do they? I don't know. I think they have boys. So maybe it was just awkward because they never had this conversation with a girl before, a young girl before. I don't know, but y'all need to do better. That was, I don't know, it was half and half. Half good, half bad. Tawanda, sit down with your daughter and tell her what things are. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's better for her to be informed correctly than misinformed and she go out and make dumb mistakes when it could have been avoided. The next thing is Tracys Disorder. She has something called persistent genital arousal disorder, and it's basically, how can I describe it? Tracey walks around in a constant state of arousal, and I think it was on, was it that Christmas special or something that they did, or some type of special that they had where everybody was over to Tamar's house cooking. And Tracey was talking about, she was just having a hard time that day because she was just in this constant state of arousal. And they thought it was funny, and everything. But 2 months later, it's still going on. So she goes to the doctor anyway because, she's having longer periods and she wants to know what's going on with her body. And so the doctor tells her that maybe because of the bleeding, she may need to have a hysterectomy. And Tracy is basically not thrilled to hear it, but she's willing to do it if it will, in fact, help her health. So that was good. But when it comes to this disorder, I don't know if there's actually a cure for it. So she goes on her old radio station, that she works with, and there she was talking about her experience with this disorder. And a lady calls in and she tells her that she's worked with people who also have had this disorder, and it has been such a problem in people's lives that some people have even committed suicide because of it. So it's something that's very serious, and I'm not even sure if there's a cure. So I don't know what type of procedures or what type of help that she's actually going to get for this disorder, but it's very unfortunate because I know that has to be very uncomfortable. No one wants to walk around being aroused everywhere in any situation. Like sometimes it's not appropriate for you to be having those feelings. What if you sitting in church? What if you just out playing with your kids? So what if you're babysitting? I mean, what if you're just walking the dog? Like, come on, you sitting there talking to your mama. Like, you don't want to be having those types of feelings in certain situations. That's all I'm saying. So I can understand the problem. Tracy, girl, I'm sorry. So the last thing was Miss Evelyn. So I think it was during Tamar events, their last season. We found out that Miss Evelyn had had a stroke. And so I also know that she's diabetic. So there are a few things that are going on with Miss Evelyn. And Tony and Tamar feel that she should leave Atlanta and live in California near them so that she can get better doctors and have someone there with her around the clock. Even though I don't know how someone's going to be there around the clock unless they hire somebody, because Tony is always up and gone. And Tamar, she's booked to capacity, right? So she's always doing a million things. So who's really going to be there with her, watching her every day? I don't know. But at the end of the day, Miss Evelyn sits down with all the girls and she tells all of them that she doesn't want to leave Atlanta. She's fine with her doctors. She likes having her life. Her life is not over. She doesn't want to be babysat. She's a grown woman and this is her decision. So Tony and Tamar are not happy about it, but Tracy, Tawanda, and Trina are okay with it. Okay. And so, in the grand scheme of things, I think that they should respect the wishes of Miss Evelyn. It would be different if she was incompetent, if something had happened to her that rendered her not able to make conscious, logical decisions. Then I would understand why they would want to kind of step in and make decisions for her. But she's not in that state. She likes being in Atlanta. She's fine with the doctors that she has. I mean, she has her life there. She's trying to meet a man. She's just trying to do different things in her life. And I think she just feels like she has given so much of her life to her kids that now it's time for her to really focus on her. And yes, she's diabetic, but she's going to try to do better with that. Watch what she eats and, just try to live a healthier lifestyle. So Miss Evelyn tells Tamar that she wants to have a The Devil is a Lie party, right? And so this is a way for Tamar to get Miss Evelyn into California. So she says, oh, well, we can have it at my house. So the rest of the sisters, kind of give the side eye, and they know that Tamar is up to trying to make, their mom stay in California. But they all go to Tamar's house, and, it's a lot of men Miss Evelyn's age at this party. Now, how you gonna have a religiously themed party, right? The devil is a lie. And y'all acting like it's a real party. Come on. But, it was cute. But, the sisters get into it. And I think this argument was Trina and Tamar going back and forth. And of course, Tamar doesn't want to have this conversation, so she leaves out of the room and she just kind of walks away. And that's basically how the episode ended. Um, I think that this season is really going to be about the push and pull over Miss Evelyn and her health and where she should live. I think that's what this season is basically going to be centered around. And hopefully, I hope they don't get too petty and make me not want to watch this show. Look, I don't look at a lot of reality TV, but I do enjoy the Braxton shows and the branch offs, from that. And I hope that this season will be good and interesting and fun and not too much sisterly rivalry because they wore me out last season. I was just so over it. But that's basically, the things that happened in this episode. So I will see you guys next week for the next episode of the Braxton Family Values. See you later.
We are the Braxtons and you'll see we are not like an ordinary family. Tracys who wanna treat a team up in the sea will teach you a thing or two. The Braxton family.